Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the Inworld review for, what is it, the 10th of March 2013. We're in a flurry this week because the USA has just put their clocks forward, so they're officially in summertime. And same hemisphere or not, over here in Europe, I've seen little white particles of things falling from the sky, so it hardly feels like summer at all. Anyway, scattered around the world we are, and welcome to the show, so to speak. Now, a little bit of maintenance before I start, so to speak. Those of you in the live audience here in Chilbo, Second Life, welcome to you too. We have 2 additional screens at the side of the stage this week, and if you press on those, you will be able to actually join in the chat at our live stream channel where the main show, Metaverse Week in Review, is happening with this inside it, so to speak. So an added bonus there. We've also moved our stage forward, as you can probably tell. This is we're in the chat range for the audience. If there is an audience, we'll be going into that later. So welcome to the Inworld review. Now, we've got rather a packed little part of the show here today. So firstly, I'm joined, of course, by my co-presenter, Tara Yeats. Hello, Tara.
I think I best take my mic off mute long enough to say howdy. Howdy.
That does help.
It does, okay. Yes.
We're actually going to postpone our mega intros, so to speak, this week until a little bit later on in the show. Mostly because we're going to get quite a few people in this week, I hope. So I'm going to actually introduce the people we've got on our extended stage here today. Starting with, of course, as ever, to my left, we have Saffia Widdershins. Hi, Saffia.
Hello, Mal. I'm here now. Can I just say one word to you quietly?
Yes.
Lips.
Lips. Indeed. Lips. You know, the host is meant to be mute, isn't he?
Yes. But not when he's talking.
No, indeed. We were getting crossfire in the dress rehearsal, so you know who managed to mute himself. Okay, that's very good. Thank you. Welcome to my lips, everybody, if you can still see them. Anyway, welcome to Saffia, as ever.
Thank you, Mel. Good to be here.
Yeah. Now, today, we're going to be diving in fairly quickly into matters that are very close to our hearts, and that is Relay for Life. And we've got a couple of people from Relay for Life here, too. But we have, for the start of the show right now, we also have a guest who many of you will know from Best of Second Life. It's Frolic Mills. Hi, Frolic.
Hi, Mel. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. How are you? A very busy man, I know, but thank you very much for coming on, so to speak.
It's okay, Mal. It's all good. All for a great cause. Just before this one, I was in another interview for Dar and the Carter and Dar show, which was actually being hosted by Carter, and we had Mama B Beer Bum, and from Relay for Life, we had Stingray over there too. We had Nikki Matheson over there, so I was talking to them, and then in the middle of that, I said, "Okay, guys, now I have to run over to Metaverse," and and then of course after this, I have another one, and then at 3:30, I believe I'm going to be meeting with Mr. Trader One Whiplash of T1 Radio, also for another interview today. So yeah, it's been busy. But it's been great.
Well, we've also got Trader on here. But meanwhile, look at the camera here. Lurking behind you, in full view, is another colleague of mine from over at Metaverse TV, and that's Dousa Dragonash. Hi, Dousa.
Hi, everybody. How are you?
We are fine. I don't know how many times I can answer how am I, but...
Well, I'm not actually asking you, Mal. I'm asking everybody.
Very good indeed. You do, of course, along with me, Saffia, and a whole bunch of us from around the Metaverse broadcasting sort of scene, all partake in this massive telethon for Relay for Life. So I'm sure that will come into the conversation later.
Yeah.
And finally, I'll just move round the stage again. We've also got with us Trader One Whiplash from T1 Radio, who is a major part of the Relay for Life organisation. Hi, Trader.
Good afternoon, Mal. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. He says again. We're all fine, dear audience. Thank you. And I'm also joined by, when I can find my blasted window again, we have Nuala. How do I pronounce that second name? I was told the way to do it.
Well, I pronounce it the Canadian way. I've been told it's Maracas.
Okay, we have Nuala Maracas, who's also from the Relay for Life team. So welcome, Nuala.
Thank you.
Okay. First off, to dive in at the deep end, so to speak, this week not only saw the sort of launch of the season for Relay for Life Inworld yesterday, but it's also the start. Pardon me, of a week-long event called Fashion for Life, which again takes place on multiple sims and is a fundraiser for the Relay for Life organisation itself, the American Cancer Society. So I think without further ado, we'll move straight to Frolic, who can't actually be with us for that long today. So maybe with a bit of help from Saffia, we'll interrogate Frolic and find out. Firstly, Frolic, I'm told, were the man on the spot to come to for Fashion for Life this year. What's it all about and how's it going? Maybe you'd like to tell us.
Sure. Well, I had to say this in front of Nikki. Somebody was just asked me, how I came involved with this, and I basically answered that Nikki lied to me. Nikki said, Frolic Fashion for Life is something we do, and don't worry about it. It's easy. You just get some designers and some vendor boards, and it's going to be fine, And I said, okay, I'll do that. And, of course, that was a big lie. It's been so much work. Trader, Malburn, it's been unbelievable. When you start looking at the project, it's over 233 designers gotten together for this cause. And then, for me, it was like, okay, which artists do I want to showcase in each one of the sims, and what can we bring about that it's different from any other fair that has ever been done out there. And so, and then it's like the press and getting the Lindens involved and every magazine involved. It was not a BOSL event. You see, the beautiful part about this Fashion for Life this year is like all of the media came together. I personally invited every single one of the fashion agencies to come together for this show, and it's been incredible. I mean, the bloggers, the media, if you search Fashion for Life 2013, it's out there big time, and it's for a great cause. So far, in 2 days, we have over 2 million lindens collected, and I'm happy. I'm happy about that.
I have to say, it has been everywhere for days. As the folks here will tell you, I scanned through masses of Second Life feeds throughout the week. And, I've got one folder called Second Life Lifestyle, and, it's full of the fashion blogs. But I think almost every other one, and, we're talking about 500 or 600 a day, I think every other one has been something to do with Fashion for Life. It's either being a designer showing off something they're launching there or contributed, or, just photos of the event itself. And it is big, isn't it? It encompasses a lot of sims and individual sims elsewhere. Events are going on, I gather.
Oh, yeah. It's 9 sims this year. And it was inspired on the 7 Asian wonders of the world. And each one of the artists did an amazing job with it. It's amazing just to check it out. Not only from the fashion perspective, but also from the architectural. It's been unbelievable. I mean, Rebecca Bashley built a 300-meter high Colossus of Road, which stands proud in one of the sims. And the 34 shops are inside his body. I mean, that itself is a wonder of its own. It's unbelievable. And then, somebody like Bryn O, one of the most acclaimed artists in Second Life, did the Lighthouse of Alexandria, and she did her own version, her own look, and it was really funny because she decided everything was going to be on water, and she put ships and the shops are like drifting in little tree branches, and a very artistic way of presenting a sim. And one of the designers said, Frolic, there is an emergency on my shop for Fashion for Life. And I'm like, what's happening? It flooded. And I'm like, no, honey, that did not flood at all. That's the way it is. And Brino, that was her vision, So anyways, it has been, it's been a beautiful journey to see it all come to life, from the moment we got The Sims to where it is right now, and yeah, it's also a lot of coordinating, of course, but it's been beautiful. Yes.
Tell me, is this the first year you've actually sort of taken on this coordination role? I know you've been involved with it, so.
I've done really big shows in the past. Of course, I have Fashion Week, and I've had something like Miss Virtual World, but nothing like this. No. This has been above and beyond everything I've ever done in Second Life, and but it's a great experience, and the cost is so much worth it. So yeah.
Well, given the amount of things you do in Second Life, that is saying something. I have to admit.
Right. Yeah.
And yes, of course. While we're on the subject, so to speak, a bit of diversion. You do have the best of best of Second Life group in World, and the bottle feed and everything, which includes fashion anyway. And of course, we got Dousa here next to you. You have a talk show when it's in season on NBC, don't you? The Frolic Mills Show.
Yes. Well, Dousa and I have not been doing that for some time, probably because we are both very busy. But yeah, I do want to do another season of Frolic Mail Show, definitely. Dousa, you will have to spank me a little bit to get that rolling again. And
happily, Frolic.
And if you would like me to do the same for you, I will certainly return the favor. Yeah.
Okay. You're on.
Well,
it's out there in public now.
I think there's a new show coming on there. Will you just drag Frolic onto Wetaverse?
Well, actually, Frolic does have a spot in Wetaverse, which is a show that we do annually, really, to keep up with the sort of alternative side of virtual life.
Yes, and yeah, an adult side too, to a certain extent, I think. Great name, Wetaverse. I always wonder, come up with well, never mind. Right, okay. Any other questions for Frolic? Saffia, of course, you're very...
Yes. I've got one I really want to ask, which is about the prize of being able to win all the designer clothes. You're having a kind of raffle, aren't you?
Yes, I am. And if you actually go to the International Plaza, which is in one of the Sims at Fashion for Life, you will see that there's two raffles, one that is smaller and one that is bigger in the center. That one has over, God, I don't even know. I think it's over 50,000 linens worth of store credits for a lot of different designers. And it has, I believe, over 100 outfits and gifts and things. I mean, everything is in there.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's a really good raffle to win. And it's only 200 linens a ticket. So it's a bargain,
That is amazing. So you could actually win all that from just one raffle ticket.
That is correct, yes.
That would just be inventory suicide, I think. But
it would be so much fun for the for the fashionista. It would be great to get that box and open it and just copy everything to the inventory, and you have the most beautiful couture from this and that, and accessories, jewelry. There is everything in that box. Yes.
You wouldn't see them.
The most amazing.
I was just
Yes,
gonna say,
you wouldn't see them
you
for
won't
weeks.
see you won't see them for a year while they're unpacking.
Well, it does sound absolutely fantastic. Now, I'm going to ask a really tough question here.
Sure.
What about lag? How do you advise people to avoid lag when they visit?
Oh, I don't. Are you kidding me?
don't.
That's absolutely impossible. It will be laggy, period. But you know what? Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, we just had a fashion show on the middle grounds, and it was actually perfect because there's about right now. I mean, when we opened, it was scary. You know, we saw the little green ants, crawling
Yeah.
on the Sims when it
Yeah.
first opened, and that was a little scary. But now there is like, I don't know, 30 to 40 people per Sim, scattered all over the place, and it's not actually that bad. So just go and make sure you have some time. Arrive at open the map, see which sim has the less people. Go there first, and enjoy. And start there and start. Enjoying the shopping experience and what all of the designers are offering, and then start moving along. And that's the best way to do it.
I must say that when I go to one of these big events, when I can, I basically I just go as my basic avatar. I just wear jeans, t-shirt, not system hair, but, sort of a skin that has hair on it. And I go barefoot. I mean, I'm not going to stub my toe. I'm not going to tread on a nail. I can go barefoot. And I find it much easier to get around like that. I also have the huge advantage of being European. So if I get up at a decent hour, I can usually get a couple of hours in European time.
Right, before the Americans
get really, really full. But yeah.
Well, those would be good advice, I suppose. I don't know. I mean, it's really hard for me to tell the designers and fashionistas and all of those people that are in my groups. Of course, this is way beyond that. This is in every login screen and every viewer in Second Life right now. So we're getting anybody, just going there. So
even people like me, yeah.
Oh, you simple little thing, you are.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So I just stopped telling people to undress, because they don't listen. I go, okay, everybody, please detach on unscripted items, in every show that I've ever done, for the past 6 years, and it doesn't happen. And I tell people, okay, wear simple clothes, and they show up in these huge gowns. So I just stop, I just go, do whatever you want,
I must say,
a long time ago.
I always contribute by turning up in Pussycat because Pussycat is so lightweight. The only problem is that when Islad, everybody stands on me. And indeed, the other RFL opening yesterday, I don't know how many times I tried to get in there. Every time I landed, but just about when everything had rezzed, crash.
Yeah, that happened to me too.
You
I
can't
ended
win.
up listening to it on the stream, but I'm hoping to talk to Trader and Noala about that in a few minutes.
Great. Right. Well, in fact, why don't we do that? Well, I know you have to rush off, Frolic, although actually the great thing about this, and say this to Dousa and everybody here, it's nice to just get into the chat here. So anybody, don't butt in, but, if you've got anything to contribute or ask, do say so. But maybe, Saffia, you'd like to move into Noala and Trader, because it all connects to Relay for Life, of course, doesn't it?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I was. It was great. Frolic, I'm really looking forward. I'll say before you go, I am so looking forward to coming over to Fashion for Life because those bills look absolutely fantastic. And yeah, what I've seen of the clothes on offer, it's just incredible. And,
Please do, Saffia. I would be very honored if you do check it out.
I will.
It is labor of love, and I'm very, very happy with it. Yeah.
Well, I think it's a very exciting event, and I hope that you raise lots and lots and lots of money, obscenely large amounts of lindens.
That would be awesome. Saffia, I'm with you. And Malburn, thank you very much for the invitation. And I wish you the best, and I hope to see you over there at the fair as well, okay?
I will endeavour to get there in a crash-free moment, and it's been a delight having you here, so thanks for popping in. And
You're very
maybe
welcome.
we'll see you again sometime.
We sure will. Okay, bye-bye, everyone.
Okay. Bye.
Bye, Frolic.
Bye. Yeah, so I'm going to come to you, Trader and Nuala. And it was kickoff. I mean, this is kickoff weekend, but the event, the first event was yesterday. I came over at about a good hour before it was meant to start, and it was so packed I kept crashing. It was packed, wasn't it?
It was packed. I believe at one point there was close to 180, 190 avatars in between the 4 sims, and that actually physically were able to get there. And then listening on the T1 radio stream, I believe we were well over the 200s, up in the mid 200s for listeners for the kickoff event yesterday.
It was one of the largest kickoff events we've ever seen, and we've seen a couple, huh, Nuala?
Oh, we've seen a few.
So, I mean, T1 Radio is the voice of Relay. When did you two get going with this?
Well, the voice of Relay, the tag title, I have to tell you, the tag itself, the voice of Relay, belongs to Trader Whiplash. And that was given to him by Fiandria Foley, the event chair in the early relays. Because Trader was just so passionate and vocal about Relay and getting out and spreading the word that she gave him the name, the voice of Relay. And it's come along with him on the way.
So I can't imagine what I did to deserve it.
So when did you start doing the radio coverage of Relay for Life and Second Life?
In 2005, Nuala and I had a small team, and we brought it into the 2006 Relay. And of course, we're dating ourselves, but in dog's years, that means we're ancient. Back in those early days of Relay, we would lose, half the Sims, and in 2006, within about 2 hours after kickoff or after the opening ceremonies of the Relay for Life, the grid crashed and was down for 12 hours. When it came back up, the Lindens agreed to keep the Sims up. They actually kept them up for a week afterwards, but we decided, or those who were running it at the time decided they were going to extend Relay until 9 p.m. on Sunday night, Second Life time. T1 Radio had started in June of 2005 as a club stream and became a radio station during that year. We were asked because they had no way to handle audio with the fact that they had a stream reserved until 6 in the morning or whatever it was, and we only came back up at 6 in the morning.
Right.
So we were asked if we would pick up the broadcast. Well, we jumped right in. We went until probably midnight Eastern time on Sunday. Came back on that the grids were up. The 6 Sims were up or 8 Sims, whatever it was, were up for another few days. So we said, all right, we'll continue to do it. And by Friday, we were still partying at the Relay Sims. And the following year, they came to us and said, would you like to be the official broadcaster?
Right.
And we've been there since. Back in 2005, 2006, everything was typed. And we were able to figure out the technology that you guys use as well to bring the actual voice and put it on the stream and bring voices together from around the world. So we've been doing it for a long time.
That's great. And so what are you planning to do for this year? You had the kickoff. There are other events on the road to the weekend, aren't there?
Well, we, as official broadcaster, are always ready to handle any event that the committee asks. We provide the stream whenever is necessary. We do have more than one port that we can use, and we will provide that to other events. We personally plan, myself and Nuala and our staff, as well as all our guests, will be available at any time for any major event. There's a whole long list of events. The main events. Of course, the Teams R Us events are separate, but we've got the May Day Fair, which is the 100th birthday of the American Cancer Society, and Paint the Grid Purple, the Halfway There Fair, and of course the Relay for Life event itself, the weekend of July 13th and 14th, and we will be available and provide stream to those people and to relate whatever time they need it. We also do a weekly talk show here on Q1 Radio called Relay Wrap. As a matter of fact, Frolic will be on that a little later on today, every Sunday, 3:30. We bring news about Relay, mission information, news about the American Cancer Society, any kind of breaking news regarding cancer, and we cover the teams and the people involved and try and give people a little more insight into what this fundraiser called Relay for Life is all about and where the money goes.
Right. You've talked about it as a fundraiser, but it has other roles, doesn't it? It does more than just fundraise. I mean, kind of the fundraising is the headline. We always see how much money Relays raise, but it also plays other important roles too, doesn't it?
It does. It helps get the message out to relayers regarding the American Cancer Society mission, the support programs that are out there. If they're cancer survivors in Second Life, a lot of survivors in Second Life have learned different programs and support options that are available to them here that they can get, as well as take out of Second Life, where they can go for help. And how easy it is to have someone to talk to. They can go to the American Cancer Society Island on Second Life, and there's actually a live chat set up that will connect them right to a trained volunteer at the American Cancer Society, and they know you're calling from Second Life. And it helps answer any questions anybody has, and it gets that important information out there too.
That's
and
fantastic.
It's also become a major social activity between team events and clubs that are hosting Relay for Life events and people who normally would not come together. I laugh, but sitting last year alongside the track, watching a furry, a tiny, and a gigantic dragon, and 3 or 4 normally dressed avatars walking together and chatting with each other. The likelihood of any of those people coming together in any one particular area in Second Life, other than Relay for Life, is fairly remote.
I think that's one of the fun things. You know, we'll be sitting doing the telethon, and we usually try and have a studio that has a big window that overlooks the track, so that from where we are, we can have what's going on in the track. On the track in the background, and we'll be sitting there talking, and then someone will suddenly say, "Oh, one of the dragons is going past." And we'll all look out of the window, and there will be a dragon lolloping down the road.
Right, followed by 3 very small furry squirrels or something with waffles.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, with waffles and steampunk hats. Yeah. Yeah.
It's almost surreal, isn't it?
and then there will be the ones who know that we're broadcasting live and will come up and sort of hover behind the studio stage in the window there.
Yes, that's
and make
right.
faces at the audience. You know, it's kind
that's
of
right.
like,
The equivalent. Yeah. Hello, Mom.
That's the good side of doing radio. They just shout in World, thinking that the mics are going to pick it up.
Yeah. No, without realizing. No, we do get Racer usually does try and come along and sort of bounces. So we have a rabbit bouncing outside. Of course, Racer.
It's Racer.
Racer X Gullwing.
It's funny, actually, just as an aside, Dousa will assert to this, I'm sure, although Freud's not here. Whenever we have these big events, that are on live stream at the same time, there are these whole periods when people come on and we look at them in the chat room on the channel. and it's all the conversation is solely, look, I can see you. Oh, look, there I am. And you realise that half these people are in World 2, and that the objective is to actually spot themselves on camera. It's almost like it's real world television, where sort of,
I don't think there's any difference, is there, really, between the real life television and it? There are always people at the back. But what's wonderful about the people at the back is actually they're making the event. They're absolutely making the event because they're the ones on the track.
That's one of the things I love to do when the telethon is on. When we're doing the telethon, is actually to get out there on the track and talk to the people who are doing things, because we have some great teams that are out there raising money. I mean, there's the ones who are raising huge amounts with the big fairs and the big events. But there's so many teams out there that are just raising money in their communities that, maybe they have a music club or something and they're raising a little bit of money in their communities, and that's going to contribute to the whole overall pot. But they will put so much in, and sometimes they have some of the most fantastic builds to go and see because they've been built with real love and real, emotion has gone into them. They're incredible to go and visit.
Both Nuala and I, like so many other people who relay in Second Life, also relay in the physical world. I don't like the term real world. In the physical world. Mm-hmm. In the physical world, when you're relaying on an athletic field or in a park or a setting where there's an area that people can walk around. There are tents set up on the campsites and small fundraising activities. There are other activities. There'll be face painting or perhaps a soccer game or football game. Some other events, maybe a DJ, occasionally a live band. Here in Second Life, we have this absolutely amazing opportunity where we can take creative people from around the world and build this huge expression of love and caring and hope. And when you look at the build during Relay Weekend, you look at everything that build leads up to it. These are people who are saying, we've had enough with cancer. We are getting together and we are going to fight it together. And they express that in every aspect of everything they do, it never really stops. From the close of Relay last July, and I know the committee has gotten a gazillion IMs saying, when's the kickoff? When we would get the kiosk? Can we get a kiosk to fundraise in November? We're having a party at our club for Thanksgiving. We want to raise money for the American Cancer Society. But that spirit and that desire is expressed by everyone who walks that track on July 13th and 14th. And you see it in what they do in their campsites. You see it in what they do in their fundraising events. And it makes a difference. It truly makes a difference. We were just doing some stats. And I don't know if people realize, 1991, cancer deaths peaked. Since 1991, there are 400 people every day celebrating a birthday that they would not have had it not been for the activities of the American Cancer Society and all these people here who are collecting money to support it. And
that's right. That comes out to about 1,024,000 people who are surviving who would have otherwise not survived since 1991 because of the advances the American Cancer Society made, and that's funded through the money that we raise in part by Second Life Relay.
Is that an American statistic? Because presumably that will be reflected worldwide and be even more huge.
Relay occurs not just in the United States. There's 6,000 relays around the world, including in 23 countries besides the United States. Here in Second Life, we have 80 different countries. I believe this year it's over 100 represented in our relay. And the American Cancer Society has a support group that supports International Relay for Life and helps emerging cancer unions and federations, associations get started in new markets. So, Relay is not just an American phenomenon; it's a worldwide phenomenon. When we went to in 2009, Second Life was an honored guest at the National Summit with relayers from Canada, from Scotland, from South Africa, and Australia.
That's fantastic. It must have been a marvellous experience to see all those people coming together from all over the world.
It happens every year.
It was fantastic, yeah. It was fantastic. They have the National Summit. The American Cancer Society has the National Relay for Life Leadership Summit every year, and they invite honored guests to go and participate in it from areas outside of the United States.
And no matter what language you say it in, it's still celebrate, remember, fight back until there's a cure.
I'm already seeing a huge banner outside the University Parks in Oxford. The University Parks is like the biggest park in Oxford. It's big enough to have a whole cricket ground inside where cricket's played every summer, and already they've got a huge banner out for the Relay for Life that's going to be happening in Oxford later in the year.
Oh, it is. Planning starts in the physical world about around the same time as it starts in Second Life as well. It never really stops, but team meetings, captains meetings, fundraisings, all going on in the real world as well now. But cancer doesn't pick and choose its countries or its people. It affects everyone.
Am I right in thinking that Second Life is listed as a country in Relay for Life's listings?
Actually, Second Life, if you visit cancer.org, Second Life is the only individual relay that is actually listed on there. It's in the United States, the relays are broken up according to local chapters, which fall within divisions, which fall under the auspices of the overall American Cancer Society. Relay for Life falls under the direct, the direction of the National Home Office. We are the virtual division. There was a Relay for Life held in
Inworld,
correct.
Yeah.
It's a small one. It's a nascent one, and it's going to grow. We in our first year we had 6 sims and raised less than $5,000. And good grief, somebody said today we're over 100,000 already, and it's only the first day.
That's brilliant. That's terrific.
It is. It's amazing. If as Trader said on that cancer.org, if you go to Get Involved tab and look at Relay, the first things on there is history of Relay for Life, and the second one listed is Relay for Life, a Second Life, and it has its own page explaining exactly what it is. And then under that come the international relays and the national corporate teams. So they really do recognize it as a powerful relay event that happens in here.
That's fantastic.
Well, on that note, I was going to comment that one of the things that has certainly struck me is the amount of money that's actually raised when translated out of Linden's into regular current U.S. dollars is on a par with and higher than a good many local events.
Oh,
I mean, it isn't small potatoes by any means.
It compares with a city the size of Chicago, I think, doesn't it?
I was just trying to go back through my notes here and find where I had a reference to.
I mean, it's quite interesting. There's something I was. It would be in my sort of highlights of the week this week. Actually, is that Inworlds are actually at the SW conference in the States at the moment. And viewers who actually are watching live this week and saw the clips before the main part of the program, notice we had a clip from Mashable where they were demonstrating the Leap device at I'm getting my tongue around this, SXSW. But it occurs to me, I mean, why has Linden Labs never thought of doing something like this, going to a major tech conference with thousands of people and actually demonstrating their virtual world, which effectively is what Inworlds have gone and done. So, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if we suddenly find a lot of people at Relay or any other event in Worlds shortly. They seem to be picking up residents, I suppose is the word, like nothing. Question to be posed there, anyway.
I was going to ask a couple of other things if I can.
Yes, yeah.
Of Nuala and Trader. I was going to say last year there was an event called the Bronzing. Do you think that's going to happen again this year? And perhaps you could explain what it was last year.
It was a spontaneous event, actually. It occurred during the May Day fair. And at that time, different teams were invited to bring their kiosks out. And Xander Green, Madonna Daly, Fuzzball Ortega, myself, and one or two other people were talking. And someone, and I can't remember who it was, I believe it was Xander, raised the kiosk and said, hey, this team here is struggling to get to the bronze level. There are 9, I believe it is, different fundraising levels, starting at bronze, silver, gold, platinum, and then it goes into jewel levels, ultimately with diamond being the highest. And correct me if I'm wrong on that. But there were a group of teams that had not gotten that jump start. Now, granted, there are some teams that sign up with all good intention. They raise a few lindens, but find that they just, for whatever reason, can't follow up. But there were teams that were doing small fundraisers. The idea was, let's move them to the next level. Let's see how many we can get up. And it became a spontaneous event. People started pouring into the Sims and just donating 10 lindens, 20 lindens. One of our favorite relayers, Sienna, thought anytime there was an odd number on a kiosk, she rounds it off. But she was coming in and rounding off every single kiosk every time it popped up. And it became a calling across the entire relay. People gathered together to help other teams. Now, a lot of that has to be given credit to the whole theme of one team and to do things as one team. We all like to compete. There are 120, 130 teams, and it's ranked according to how much you fundraise. The bottom line is there's only one team. The team that we're on is the American Cancer Society team. We're raising money to help provide that mission. So it doesn't matter if I put my 100 lindens in my kiosk or if I put it in your kiosk. Well, let me put it in your kiosk so that we can boost you up to the next level. By the halfway there fair, almost every team had raised at least one level to the bronze level, and they all got that award. And it just was, wonderful.
That's such a lovely story. That was so great to see everyone coming together and working together. I thought that was fantastic last year.
I think it just underscores once again the fact that we are one family, regardless of whether we're relaying in. And I have to tell you, when we did the opening ceremony last year, using my widget that provided by our server, I can see basic areas where different people are hitting my stream from, just as anybody can. You see where you get your IP address hits on any web page. I had people showing on my stream in all over the country, all over the globe, but Reykjavik. There were people in Africa. There was somebody in a tiny little island below Australia, going towards the South Pole. I don't even know where that island is. I can't find it on a map, but that's where they were coming from. People all around the globe coming together because we have a single foe, a goal in mind, and that is to beat cancer. Yeah, I said earlier, it's the 100th birthday of the American Cancer Society. It's one of the things we're going to be celebrating. For the first 100 years, we started a fight 100 years ago to fight cancer. And now the goal of the American Cancer Society is to end that fight and to put themselves out of business. And we're going to do it.
Indeed we are. Great words.
Yeah.
And the technology improves all the while, which is also a great sign.
Absolutely.
I'd really like to ask a question of you all, if I may.
Sure.
I kind of know my answer to this, but I'd like to hear other people's opinions. I read a lot about, people like Bill Gates, government contributions towards major charities, these huge donations towards major charities. What is the reason that the individual should contribute in this way, to your minds?
Ooh.
An investment in their lives. I'm a cancer survivor. 20 years ago, if I had been diagnosed with what I have, been diagnosed with had I been diagnosed, let me rephrase that, 20 years prior to my diagnosis in 2003 with leukemia, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. I've lost several friends to the same cancer I have. Leukemia is because it's so prevalent from early childhood right up until adults. We probably all know someone who's passed away from leukemia. The research that is supported by the American Cancer Society has been part of every cancer breakthrough in the last century. Every cancer breakthrough. 46 funded researchers are Nobel Prize laureates, people who've received funds from the American Cancer Society. There are programs out there that will help every single person. I remember 5 years ago, there was during Relay, someone from France came to Faye Andrea Foley and said, Faye, my sister was just diagnosed with cancer. She's in Africa. We don't know what to do. I'm in France. I know you're at the American Cancer Society, but we don't know what to do. With the help of our staff partner, and I believe it was Stingray Raymaker, who's our current staff partner, through the International Relay for Life offices, transportation was found for this person, and he was brought to France she was brought to France, where they received treatment. I don't know what the disposition was, but that is, again, why? Because every single dollar that we add to the fight to beat this foe is one step closer to the day that we can say, that's where the American Cancer Society building used to be, but we cured cancer, so they went out of business.
Yeah, the gravestone.
A bit like smallpox, yeah.
Exactly.
And further to Dousa's question there, I guess it's it's a personal empowerment thing and involvement thing. That you have World Health Organizations, you have individual governments. They clutter along like bureaucrats, and it is another approach. And I think governments are sorely lacking in civil responsibilities these days. I think they're too busy with the politics of politics, and maybe it just means that organizations of people, especially international organizations, of which the American Cancer Society is, and in its connections with other organizations, are pursuing one cause, and they're pursuing it globally, and they have involvement of people. And I don't think that's something that governments or even the UN can replicate, really.
I think, too, we have that obligation. Just like somebody said, why doesn't why doesn't Linden Labs provide more support directly for Relay for Life? It's the biggest event every year in Second Life. Why don't they do more? But the problem is, at some point, you have to say, all right, if we do it for them, we have to do it for the Boy Scouts. We have to do it for the American Red Cross. We need to do it for it. Just go down the list. So they choose not to. They really don't have a choice. When governments and quasi or semi-public agencies are faced with how do we choose between the American Cancer Society or this society or this association or this foundation, they have to spread it out. We, as individuals, choose to focus on this fight against cancer. There's nothing, cancer touches everyone's lives. The American Cancer Society is one of the few cancer charities that don't look at just one cancer, and two, strictly the research cure aspect of it. They provide support for caregivers and survivors. They provide information for all of us to find different ways to stay healthy and to change our own lifestyles to help reduce the risk of cancer. They provide so much information 24/7, 365 days of the year. You can call 800-227-2345 and talk to an expert. Get information, whether it's how do I pay for treatment? How do I get a ride for my mom? I live 300 miles away. Mom's got to go to chemo every day for the next 3 weeks. They have a program, and there's the answer for you. The American Cancer Society fights cancer, not just one cancer, and provides support for the people who have heard the words, you have cancer. So it's far more encompassing, as I said, than other charities. So we all have that kind of, we're helping ourselves when we do it. We're helping ourselves, we're helping our families. I don't want my kids to hear the words, you have leukemia. Or if they do, I want them to hear this. But we know what to do about it. And we're going to give you this shot, and you're going to be sick for a day, but, go out and play.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's the fact that it makes sure that that those charities continue. Because, as you say, certainly in the UK, it can be on the whim of government whether or not it continues to fund the charity. And,
unfortunately, continues to fund the research that the charity might plug the gap on.
Definitely.
I was thinking specifically of Cancer Research UK. In the name, it implies what it does, where their funding has been, gradually reduced and reduced and reduced. But if it weren't for public funding, I don't quite know what the position would be at the moment. I'm assuming that comes for American Cancer Society as well.
Well, the research is at the heart of the mission of the American Cancer Society, and as Trader mentioned, they're going to be increasing. Right now, the statistics are that 72% of each dollar raised goes directly towards the support services and the fundraising, and they're making a commitment to increase that over the next bit to 80 cents, or 80%, so 80 cents of every dollar going into their research for it, so that they can get things going that way with a little bit stronger, a little bit more. But they've had over.
I was going to comment, having come from a long-term nonprofit background, getting up to 80% is a real accomplishment because there's an awful lot of expenses that go into running any nonprofit organization that cannot be claimed as direct services. That people think, well, it ought to be 95%, but there's a lot of human resource expense and office space and phones and computers and networks that support all that can't be claimed as direct services. So that's a wonderful thing to be able to increase how much they have that is going to direct service.
Well, I think
research.
Part of the way they're going to do that is just simply going back to basics. The American Cancer Society was founded in 1913 as a community-based volunteer healthcare organization. We, as Relay volunteers, need to step up and take on more of that responsibility. like I said, they have a program called Road to Recovery. That's volunteer drivers, people who can give an hour to go over and pick up someone, take them to their appointment. It doesn't cost the American Cancer Society anything other than the cost of the phone call that was made to get that help in the first place. People can go and volunteer at Hope Lodge, which is the if you have to travel for treatment, there are Hope Lodges around the United States at major cancer centers. It's free lodging, but volunteers come in and help cook those meals for that mom who's sitting there with their very sick child with leukemia, or that young son whose 75-year-old mom had to just travel from the middle of the West to a major cancer center in the Northeast. So they're getting more and more volunteers involved in this. And again, you asked earlier, Saffia, about Relay for Life being more than just a fundraiser. It is a great way to get the message out that, A, we're here to fight. These are the services, but we need your help. We want your dollars. We need your dollars because if your goal is to cure cancer, it's only going to happen through research. And we need that money to support the research, but we need your help so we can send more dollars to research. So if you can step up and help carry the load, help get mom to treatment, help get grandma to Sloan Kettering, or help cook that meal at Hope Lodge. Maybe you go down and sit in your local office. They're all over the place, and stuff envelopes. Maybe somebody can volunteer some time on a Tuesday afternoon. All different ways that we can do it. So more of those dollars, those extra 4 pennies, can go to research. One of those pennies just might be the key to unlocking the secret that says, cancer is now a thing of the past.
For me, that really is the important side, the outreach work that something like Relay for Life, because it's so huge, can do to bring in volunteers and also to give support to people. There was a story Xander told from a couple of years back at Fantasy Fair that he came across someone who was a complete noob. She was about 2 days old. And she was sort of wandering around Fantasy Fair looking slightly dazed at all the things that were going on. And he actually stopped to talk to her. And she said that she had recently been diagnosed with cancer. And she couldn't believe what she was seeing, that all this was in effect for her. That people were doing all these amazing, extraordinary things that she'd never dreamed of to help her. And that is just so wonderful.
Exactly, yeah. You take it down to that individual level. It's such a massive, big, wide event. But when you see it from that one person's eyes, this is for me. This is to help me survive. It kind of makes it a little bit humbling that way. It takes you back down to where things are supposed to be.
Well, I think the Luminaria is such a good illustration of that, because as you walk the track, you've got the Luminaria with all the individual names of all the people who are fighting, who have passed already, and you can just see the individuals that this is all about, and so many of them as you walk the track. I think that is fantastic.
Well, I don't know if you saw, if you were able to get to the kickoff sim. They had the Cafe du Kickoff. And you went inside the little cafe area, and they had some pictures. And there was this one that just it summed it up so well for me. It was someone had taken a picture of the Second Life map. Mm-hmm. And it had all the individual state sims, and it says, this is your Second Life. And of course, they're all individual boxes with water around them in a straight line. Mm-hmm. And next to it, they had the Relay for Life map, which is 35 sims all united together, going around it in a circle. And it says, this is our relay. It's like, it kind of put it together that this is individual Second Life. You're all broken up, but Relay is just one big giant community.
Bringing you all together.
Yeah, it just said those simple words on it, and I was like, that just sort of really sums it up.
And I think it all depends on your perspective. Noelle is a caregiver. I'm a survivor. When I go to Relay, and you obviously have. We've all been touched by cancer, Saffia, and I don't know if you're a caregiver, survivor, or whatever role. We all look at the luminary, we look at Relay from a different perspective. For someone like me, I'm saying thank you. It's a unique opportunity that you can say thank you to the people who saved your life. And like you said, your friend, in your story, someone who said, this is all being done for me. And that's the way I feel sometimes when people come up to me and say, thank you, Trader. I say, no, thank you. Thank you for everything you're doing. Because there are people like myself who are able to get up in the morning and look out and see that sun and see the green side of the grass. I'd like to relate a quick story, and it only takes a couple of seconds. In 2008, I had the privilege of representing Second Life at the National Relay Summit. During that time, a researcher who had benefited by Relay for Life dollars, American Cancer Society research grants, and was one of the people who found the combined chemotherapy that is used to treat leukemia. He gave a speech about the progress from back in the day when cancer was whispered about. It wasn't said in public, and certainly not in good circles, to the point where today it's faced head on with the determination that we're just going to mow it over and stomp it out. At the end, those of us who had leukemia were given an opportunity to say thank you. I had the personal opportunity to shake the hand of the man who saved my life. And that is just an amazing reward. And it's my reward for being part of Relay for Life. It's every single day I'm trying to say thank you and to give back.
Well, thank you.
No, thank you very much. And thank you for everything that your TV network has done to help get this message and to allow Relay for Life, the Second Life, to continue to grow and to bring that message to more and more people. How important what we do here, how important it is, and just how rewarding it is.
Indeed. Well, for people watching at home, I can't reiterate too much. The Virtual World, Second Life, and the communities we have here. I mean, this Relay for Life is just one astonishingly huge example of the way it works. It's the single biggest fundraising event in Second Life. There are others, of course, we mustn't forget them, but it's an example of just how constructively organizations can work in Second Life and other virtual worlds, as we heard, and employ those communities, attract people together and, as they say, just bring the scattered folks from all over the Second Life grid into one giant community, especially, of course, in July when it is the big weekend marathon. I made a mistake last week of saying the highlight for us is going to be the telethon, but of course that's just us. That's just us speaking. But in mid-July we'll be having that. But of course, the telethon is only just one part of huge global events worldwide, organic world and the virtual world all together. And the build-up that has just started now is just the beginning. We're building to a huge crescendo over the coming months. So I encourage everybody really to get involved and keep a lookout for the various events coming up. Fashion for Life we mentioned earlier, and coming up in the near future, of course. I'm sure Saffia mentioned this later. Fantasy Fair, which is another one we all look forward to, isn't it?
And then the Home and Garden Expo.
And the Home and Garden Expo.
I have to mention that because that is so my favourite because of Prim Perfect. I go in there when it's being set up. We'll be sponsoring a sim this year. We go in when it's set up and people start coming in, and there are so many yellow dots coming on.
I know. I end up with a new house every year. I don't know where I put them, but I get a new house every year.
That's just incredible, isn't it? Yeah. And you discover new designers and... Well, I love Fantasy Fair, and I'm currently working on a documentary about how Fantasy Fair was put together, which we're going to be showing in the Designing World series later in the year. But home and garden, it's my peeps, you know.
They're also going to be having an American Cancer Society 100th birthday celebration at the American Cancer Society Island on May 21st and 22nd as well. So that's going to be a little celebration going on there for the 100th birthday.
So it's going to be a very exciting season. I've heard it whispered, but I don't know whether this is, that maybe this could be the year we hit the 2 million mark.
I think so.
I think there's a real good chance. We were just over 1.6 million last year. The goal this year is, I believe, is 100 million lindens, which is appropriate for the 100 million or $400,000. If we hit that number, we're going to surpass 2 million. One thing that we're seeing a huge amount of people, and it finally, because the potential for this particular relay is far beyond what we can raise here in Second Life, because we have so many people who can reach out beyond the grid. That does create an issue because of the anonymity of being who you are in Second Life means you don't have to relate that to your physical, or I like your organic world. I like that, Mal. I may steal that.
Yeah,
do I have permission?
You have my permission. Spread it.
Thank you. But more and more people are using the tool called Convio, which allows people to make donations. When you consider the average donation here in Second Life, it's probably somewhere around 100 lindens, 25 cents. The average donation in the organic world using Convio is around $40. If we can reach out, and I have a personal challenge. I do it every week on Relay Wrap. I challenge every single relayer to ask 10 friends for $10 and make a donation. 2,000 relayers, everybody donates $100. We're not only well through 2 million, but we're working on 2.5 million before July rolls around. Because that's over $200,000 we can raise in addition. And as of this morning, Stingray Raymaker, our American Cancer Society staff partner, has listening in and just sent me a message. The total is, and this is just about 30 hours into the Relay for Life 2013, $102,000.
That's wonderful.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Now, if that repeats hour by hour.
Well, that includes a lot of funding that was done prior to the official kickoff, which is reserved and
all
the American
stuff.
Cancer Society funds.
Yeah, it's all the stuff like Christmas Expo has gone into that. So,
and
all those, fashionistas buying those outfits, quick. So
That's
it's
right.
probably, but wait until the breedables get going. I just couldn't believe the prices the breedables were getting at the Christmas Expo.
Oh, I remember that. It was a horse, wasn't it? It got some phenomenal amount. They had us all agog. Yeah.
Well, Saffia, one of the next big fundraisers is going to be, Relay Rockers, which is our team, aside from, our role with T1 Radio and Second Life, the team we founded, developed a fundraising event called Bid Me Bald. And that's where people donate 5,000 lindens to have someone bid bald for one day, 5,000 lindens for each day, 1 day for each 5,000 lindens they raise. And I can only imagine how much your hair is going to bring.
And, just speaking of the breedables too, the animal breedables, there's also the Charmed Breedable Fashions is doing breedable shoes now, which you breed and put your own designs on, auction them off, make them for sale or whatnot. So, and they've done, Trader actually has a pair of them on that they've done for, again, a Relay Rocker team. So, they have their breedable sneakers, Celebrate, Remember, Fight Back sneakers that are out there as well.
These are actually shoes.
They had
I
beautiful
thought,
shoes.
shoes breed in my closet.
Yeah.
But I always thought it was socks because they sneak off in singles and turn up as pairs, but they never look the same.
These are in fact
These are unique.
non-breedable, but they are limited edition Relay for Life sneakers. The ones I'm wearing are called Celebrate, which is the Survivor. They come in a purple, red, and blue. The only way you see the whole thing would be for me to take my pants off, and I'm not going to do that on air. I'm sorry. But on the back, it has the 100 celebrating 100 years of Hope logo, and they are in the official Relay for Life red, blue, and purple colors, and they will be available for sale. We didn't want to upstage Fashion for Life. We discussed it with Charmed. So they're right now be available for sale starting next week in vendors at the T1 Radio location in Aaron Ultra K, and hopefully some other places around the grid. We think that's going to be a real big fundraiser this year. I don't know. You guys know better more about fashion than me. What do you think of the shoes?
Well, I was just laughing while you were talking there. I'm sorry, probably overheard me, but I was looking at the channel chat, and Petlove's camera went zooming into the shoes. So we had a shoe exhibition on the channel there. At the same time, Petlove interjected to Bevan Whitfield on the channel, saying sort of, isn't it time you weighed in on this subject? Because I think Bevan Whitfield is a big fan of Second Life shoes. So we were going off onto all sorts of diversions there. But indeed, they were fine shoes. They were.
There you go. Great shoes for walking the track in. Very comfortable, by the way.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to sort of start broadening the conversation here. I'd love if the two of you stuck around, by the way. We're sort of cover a few other sort of topics here. I'm hoping we're going to be joined by both Slim Warrior and Joel Foner as time goes by. We're seeing what's happening in the background here. At the top of the show, the only real things on the metaverse I did have to mention were the Island Oasis, one of the grids, has turned 2 years old. And as I've mentioned, Inworld has also been at the SXSW conference in America, which is attended
by Southwest.
Yes, thank you, Tara. I'll let
easier to say that. Yeah,
and I thought that was a good move by them because they're exhibiting their virtual world to thousands and thousands of people who actually attend this event, and it's a move that I'm surprised other grids before them have not made. Let's just put it that way. So those of you who are watching this show live, before we came to the Inworld section, would have actually seen various clips running on the channel. There was a very amusing one by something called Abre Magnifique, which you can look up on the Second Life marketplace. I really do not want to, I don't know what to make of it. Basically, it's the first company that is selling smells in world. In other words, you can buy perfumes and you can apparently spice up your Second Life with different flavors of smell. How they do this, I am not at all sure, but there are currently 5 flavors on offer.
Actually, Mal, I think there have been smells before. I've been given smells in the past, but it may not take the same form, so I'm going to throw that in.
I and Dizzy Banjo some time ago, we never pursued it, so I guess it's okay to sort of mention it now. We're actually working on an idea of perfumes where, in fact, we would be using sort of subliminal audio to create a sort of scent around avatars, and avatars could wear it.
That sounds nice.
Yeah, it's one of those enterprise ideas. It's about. In fact, I was watching a certain chat earlier, and I suddenly realised of another enterprise that doesn't yet exist: the virtual bookie.
Are they allowed to?
They're probably not. No.
I was thinking what you were saying about the perfume and the subliminal sounds. It gives a whole new idea of the referring to perfume as having notes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yes. Indeed.
I think the perfume I was given used to waft in text.
Oh God, that puts it on talking tummy level, doesn't it?
Yeah. There was a lot of wafting, as I recall.
Well, I had this recollection of seeing something in the, in the weird gadgetry department that was some kind of a device that could be controlled by a computer that, had its own little scent maker equipment inside. That was, you load it with various chemicals, which will then be mix and match depending upon what instructions it got. I may just have dreamed that, but I wouldn't be surprised if somebody's fiddled with that idea.
I would hate to think what a griefer could do with that, Tara.
Oh, me either. I mean, the possibilities. I'm reminded of a high school chemistry class and the boys in the back.
Well, yeah, there is such a thing as software-controlled aromatherapy. Where the oils that burn are dispensed carefully using software to create different moods and stuff like that. So you could sort of see a tie in there. I mean, going back to the opening clips, we had a thing from South by Southwest from Mashable on the demonstrations of the Leap thing that we've been going on about for ages. We had Microsoft's idea of what a future home's going to look like. As they would, nothing new there. But it's, the idea of aroma therapy being part of an immersive holodeck or something. Who knows where it could go?
I was going to ask a quick question about those earlier clips. I don't know if Trader or Nawala can tell me who made the Relay for Life video, because that was excellent.
I'm assuming we're talking about the Mark Twain White production videos.
It's Mark Twain White talking about with people talking to their 16-year-old selves.
No.
Oh, that one I haven't seen.
I haven't seen that one.
A good point. I can't tell you offhand because they're not tagged, these videos, but I'll certainly find that out. And
I thought it was excellent. The quality was superb.
Yeah, it is on. It's freely available on YouTube. So I guess if you YouTube Relay for Life and look for the most current videos, you'll find it there. So yes, it was indeed very good. Good trailer all round.
Through the modern technology we have, I'm getting the information. It was Emmanuel, and we're waiting for the last name to come across. Emmanuel Resident. She worked with our survivor group. It's great having this technology, isn't it? She worked with it, and it just came out. It's brand new. I thought you were referring to the earlier records that Mark had done.
No, this we got a couple of days back ready, so it's only a couple of days old. So yeah, but it really is excellent. And actually, that's great. This bears on something. I think it was last week we were mentioning it. We were talking about Second Life surnames, and I was saying, there's a lot of residents popping up now. With the Second Life resident surname, doing things. And there's another example. Excellent video by somebody who's obviously fairly new to Second Life. So there you go.
Yep, I think we're going to have to get hold of them.
I for one.
Well, not necessarily new to Second Life. I mean, it could be an alt name. So
it could, yes, it could indeed. Yeah, one keeps forgetting that. There's a lot of us around as alts, aren't there?
Well, there's only one decent filmmaker in here. So, caught with the name Emmanuel. So.
Oh. Yes, that is a thought. Yeah. Okay, well, we'll come to Tara in a minute with our usual headlines and stuff. But first of all, I think since we're going around the table, so to speak, Dousa, don't put it on Inworld now, folks. But the Soundstream here at the Meta Hub now has recently changed to an interesting new radio station called Radio Fresco. And I was hoping Dousa might bring us up to date on what's happening with Metaverse TV and things like that today. But I know she can certainly bring us up to date on this particular radio station. So, Dousa, what's up, shall I say?
I knew I was hijacked. I was hijacked. And I just couldn't understand in what form it was going to come. Okay, Radio Fresco is originally started as our stream for the islands around Metaverse, and also for certain things that we want to do later in the year with it, which we're developing at the moment. But at the moment, what's happening is that we've just got our team working on their tunes, basically. So we're uploading it, and that's that pretty well. It's very new. We've put it out a week ago just to see how it would go. We did a live broadcast from the sim yesterday, the Wilder Zone we did live, which is absolutely perfect. And we've discovered a whole new trolley load of really, really good, and I'm not going to call them DJs because I don't think they would set themselves up as DJs, frankly. We have one DJ probably who is Tawny Dinzea, who's fantastic, particularly with her Love Hour music. But the rest of them are fantastic presenters. And Mal Burns, writer, has been forced, strong-armed, to work with Baird Barnard on Men Colliding. Badly, on occasion. Where they are given a subject which they try to avoid talking about, frankly. But when they behave themselves a bit better, that'll be up there properly. So that's all I can say, really. What was your experience like, Mal, working for them?
Interesting.
I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that it's Radio Fresco, radio with an opinion of its own. I think you'll get the drift.
It was a very different experience. Firstly, no offense to Baird, but left to my own devices, I can't imagine coming up with a combination of the two of us. It went very well. The prototype show, as it were, show one. It was unusual. It was a very different format from sort of what I'm used to. I wasn't interviewing. I wasn't moderating. I was really one half of this collision of souls.
Let's mislead you, ladies and gentlemen. Mal Burns is perfectly capable of talking.
I'm speechless.
And we also know that Barrett is perfectly capable of talking.
Yeah, so basically I put together two men who are very capable of talking and then just stood back. See what happened. Gave them the subject they least wanted to talk about, and that was it. So,
well,
it sounds a bit like Money for Jam here, Dousa.
I'm not sure about the money side of it. If anybody will ever listen to it, but
sorry, I'm told my volume dropped. It was a choice between heavy breathing earlier or moving the mic, so hopefully you can hear me a bit better now. Yeah. Also, of course, I did announce last week that that wonderful build we had for a while called the Metaverse Satellite finally departed. I believe it's been backed up for relocation possibly at a later dates, and Metaverse Island is still around, a couple of sims away, in fact. So it's all changed there too, isn't it, Dousa?
We did a lot of thinking over the Christmas period. We'd worked really, really hard for the last 4 years, and actually we're quite tired, really. So Rob and I sat down, did a lot of thinking. We brought in Rebecca Yeats, who organises the Metaverse Tribune, which is the sort of sister rag, if you like. And put our heads together about where our focus was for the following year, for this year, 2013. And one of the things we want to do is a huge development. And the satellite will be going on to that huge development. More than that, I cannot say, or will not say at this moment. I'm perfectly capable of saying, but I'm not going to say it.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so that's that part of it. It's really interesting what happens when you pack up a sim. We packed up the sim, we packed up the build, and what we've moved our operations to what is our backlot. We still do events there. We build there. We build all our sets there. We've had it, all the time we've been there. So basically, it's really nice to be on that sort of basic working environment, to be honest. Although we are finding that we're missing the satellite like mad. It's really strange, and we had built up a community of people around it, so that community is still there. we can't wait too long before, giving it somewhere central. But in the meantime, we've moved what was our sort of dance event centre, the Planet Field, to Metaverse Island now, and called it the Metaverse Crash Site. Metaverse Satellite Crash Site. So that's basically what's happening there. And while we're reforming our business plan, but I'm very, very excited. And if and we all know, Second Life can dog you. So if our plans are not sidetracked in any way whatsoever, in a few months we'll be very, very excited. I mean, I'm not quite, there's a lot of hard work between now and then. I think everybody will agree that anything to do with media is hard work. So
it's a bit like moving house too, isn't it? Sort of the satellite was really almost a showcase loss leader, but it became so familiar. So people are now sort of it's back to the beginning again in terms of the backlogs.
We're not back to the beginning, actually, Mal. You're quite wrong with that. It's very interesting because one of the things we did was examine our skill set. And if you talk about where we were when we started and what we were doing, our skill set far exceeds what we're actually doing. So we're actually not being fair to our skill set, and that is what we are all driven to do this year. It's interesting because we're quite a sort of diverse set of people, and but yet we'd all arrived at the same point, which was to get a certain kind of plan together, and that's what we've done because the call was from all of us.
Yeah, I chose my words badly there. I was actually more referring to the community, so that they're used to congregating in one space and suddenly the space changes. So that's what I meant, really.
Oh, right. I think they're cool with that, frankly. Yeah. So that's okay. There's a lot of goodwill out there, and I was very moved by that. And a lot of excitement because, as they said, you've done wonderful things, wonderful builds, wonderful experiences we've had, and we want to know what's happening now, and we can't tell them because you know what happens. You put something out in the wind and somebody else swoops in and takes it away and perhaps doesn't do it quite as well, and it's a lost opportunity. You have to build on it again. I mean, if you're a creative, you're used to that, but it's nevertheless a bit of a pain in the doodahs. So. Okay.
There was... my mind has gone blank. There was something else related to this I meant to mention. Yes. I've been plugging it for a couple of weeks here. But, of course, one thing that is happening that's fairly new, but that's been very regular for a few weeks now, is our Friday bedtime stories, which is now happening on the Dragon Frolic Sim, of course. But we would encourage anybody who's interested in storytelling
or writing or just sitting and hearing the process or any of that. I would really encourage you to come along. What we do is we actually set it up to go at 2 p.m. SLT on a Friday, but we run as long as we need to run. So if you're in some other area, you're not home from work or you're not doing anything, come in. It's a group of people that want to listen to stories or want to tell stories or want to write stories or are suffering from writing block, any of that. It's a natural thing for us to do. We examine our own writing there, so you may be the first to hear something when it comes in. But we really, as Mal says, if you ask Mal for an LLM, it's fine. It takes place on what's called Dragon Frolic. Frolic is Folach, sim, in front of a roaring fire. So, and all forms of Second Life avatar are welcome. You probably would need voice if you want to read your stuff aloud. That would be good. Or one of us can read it for you. And if you want feedback, we're happy to do that. We don't kill you. We don't annihilate you. That's not our process. So all those people who are a bit frightened of coming along, we've had the most amazing surprises, to be honest. I mean, when I say surprises, I don't generally prejudge people. However, if I've never heard they're interested in something, it takes me by surprise when they pull out a piece of sublime poetry which we've had, haven't we, Mal?
Yeah. We never know what's coming. It's all mostly storytelling, but it's, people will just pull out what they've worked on or were inspired by and recite it. It's great.
And it doesn't have to be fiction, of course. It can be fact, it can be documentary, it can be anything you like. So, and it's a safe environment, so do come.
Great. And I'm usually there. So what more could you ask for?
Tales told by a cat.
Meow. Yes, indeed. Well, not always, but sometimes, indeed. Okay, well, we'll come back to some general chats shortly, but the thing we didn't open with today is our sort of highlights of the week, or our sort of news roundup and stuff. So I think it's about time we sort of moved to Tara for a bit of her roundup of things that would normally come at the beginning. So if you're game for that, Tara.
Well, I think so. My avatar, alas, seems to have lost its ability to have moving lips, so those of you who are watching me on camera will not see my mouth moving, but I can assure you that it is. It just happens to be only in the RL sim that it's moving. Anyhow, as has been my habit since we went Inworld, I've been bringing one of my friends along. It was mentioned earlier, Breedables events coming up in connection with Relay for Life, and Kitty Cats has been one of the or is one of the major breedables that's been very active, and I'm sure will continue to be very active in Relay for Life. And this is a kitty cat. This happens to be Taiga, and for those of you who are interested in such things, Taiga is a Balinese chocolate lynx with platinum eyes, and she has soft fulled ears, which are one of the things that I have a big soft spot for, and in fact have bred a lot. And Taiga, we'll do the little commercial here, is actually one of the kitties that is available at. I have set up a what I'm calling Second Chance Retirement Village, a kitty cat's adoption agency for kitten-free elder pets. And for specifically thinking of people who'd love to have a breedable, but don't want to even think about breeding. The kitty cats have or will only breed for the first 120 days, and once they pass 120 days old, they no longer breed. But they continue to be quite wonderful pets, and I realized that I was getting some that I really just were just too cool just to send off to the invisible kitty nirvana, and I decided, well, I bet you there's some folks around who might be interested in having a kitty cat, but don't want to get into understanding any of the breeding stuff. So anyway, a Second Chance Retirement Village is here in Chilbo, on Highway 10 at the other side of the sim from here, on the east side of the sim. So anybody who wants to stop by and just take a look, bargain priced because they've been around for a while, but they're wonderful. They're wonderful little darlings. And that's for those of you who, and as by way of encouragement to, if you're interested in kitty cats, to keep an eye out for whatever is this year's kitty cats specials for Relay for Life, because they're always magnificent. Anyway, fortunately, I have just a couple of items this week. And one of these is from your side of the pond, Mal, from United Kingdom. Coventry University Serious Games Institute has been very visible around the whole virtual world arena for some years now, and have done some, do some regular major conferences and one thing and another. Anyway, the news item is that they're set to play a leading role with a £1.5 million research project which aims to help manufacturing firms transform their business models using games technology. And that translates, for those of us on the U.S. side of the pond, as $2.3 million, which is not exactly small change. The project is part of a wider £45 million funding package from the Engineering and Physical Sciences Research Council, designed to improve manufacturing competitiveness in the UK. There's the Serious Games Institute is working with a couple of other universities on the gaming technology initiative. which will have a goal to encourage UK firms to use gamification to sell services as well as products. The research team will be creating serious games using virtual worlds, which can represent and handle the complex data systems of companies looking to adopt product service systems. And a host of industry partners, including Ford Motor Company, MAN Truck and Bus, and Birmingham Science Park, pardon my pronunciation for those of you in the UK, will test out the games as part of the project. It's one of 6 research programs that have been awarded funding, with others focusing on concepts such as cloud computing, crowdsourcing, and platforms to provide new ways to develop, design, and manage manufacturing. So that really strikes me as, it's one of those items that shows probably a well-developed and nuanced applications of virtual events in the world of business, and I think it's going to be very interesting to see what comes out of this as their project moves along. And the second item, I think Mal mentioned this last week, and that is the Pixie Viewer. Is now apparently available in a preview form for OpenSim grids. And what's interesting about the Pixie Viewer is this is a web-based, specifically built using HTML5 technology. There's no download, there's no software to install or plugins. It runs in Chrome, Firefox, Safari, and other modern browsers. Notice, it's funny that this list does not include Internet Explorer, which I have to chuckle about. We won't go there. It loads instantly and is fast and responsive. And then we understand, of course, why IE is not in the list. To access it, all users have to do is go to the login page. Oops, I should have a link there, and create a new account. The viewer can display both prim and mesh objects, which is cool. In addition, basic building and texturing functionality is already supported. And this is all in a preview version, so keep that in mind. The viewer requires that the OpenSim being accessed is running a special module. And there's a couple of other open grids that are currently testing, but not available for public use yet. And they expect it's going to take 2 to 6 months for that to be ready. Let me see, where else was I going to talk about here? It uses, for those of you on the geeky side of things, it uses WebGL for rendering 3D scenes, WebSockets, and asynchronous HTTP connections to communicate to a backbone, and highly optimized JavaScript code libraries for calculations. So that's the back end for those into that sort of thing. Comment, because it uses standard HTML5 technology, it should be accessible on mobile devices, although users in the early couple of days here have been having a little difficulty getting it to work, was the note. It's not usable in Second Life unless Linden Lab adopts some kind of compatible technology. Apparently the module that has to be installed at the grid level is something that will be available as open source once they get past the initial testing. And a very interesting wrinkle on this, and Mel, I think you mentioned something about this recently, is they are set up with a direct link for 3D printing from the viewer. How's that for interesting? So if you have something you've created and you want to see it in 3D, you want to actually have the object to hold in your hand, and you've created it in OpenSim, there's a setup to do so using iMaterialize.com, which is doing 3D printing on a consumer basis in various places. So that's pretty cool, I think. And other than that, in the blogosphere for Second Life, there's been kind of another round of discussion of the decline in total sim numbers, and the other item has been some discussion around machinima to promote Second Life, spinning off of Draxter Dupre's visibility thanks to Linden Lab with his new series. So there's always stuff to be said about either of those topics, so I'll leave it at that. But that's all I have this week. So back to you, Mel, and anybody who has any comments on any of that, jump in.
Indeed. Well, thanks, Tara. I should have mentioned it. I didn't actually, it wasn't really practical to take any video clips of it, but I tried out the Pixie viewer, beta. And first time in, I sort of got my Wheel of Death kind of thing, but I relogged and then I saw what looked like a very basic OpenSim installation. Sunny Salamander, the guy responsible for it, really, I'm hoping to have on the show very soon when he can find the time, was there. So was Graham. Well, it's interesting. There are a couple of people there who I hadn't seen for ages. You know, I recognise their names as people that always seem to be the first in the moment the post goes up about a testing grid. And it was quite intriguing. It was a very simple OpenSim installation, and I'm afraid it didn't actually res quite as quick as I hoped. Also, I couldn't actually see any avatar. I saw my name and the other avatars' names, but they were sort of tags and the avatars weren't rendering. But I think at this stage, apparently you need a WebGL compatible browser, which Tara mentioned. And I think if your browser doesn't have WebGL in it, it does take a small download at the moment to put that in. Although the idea of the browser is that it is built solely on HTML5, so it can walk and talk anywhere, so to speak. Certainly my first impressions were it seemed very workable. I could move around and go up and down and do all the stuff I expect in a virtual world. I know. I don't think Second Life would ever get into this, and especially as I know Philip answered a question from me once, and he for some reason isn't a particularly big fan, I gather, of WebGL. He certainly didn't think it would work for SL, but that's another story. But it's certainly showing lots of potential, and as Tara mentioned, the idea that you can box off a segment, like make a box around a segment in World, and then specify that for a 3D printer, that is great fun. You can imagine what artists are going to do with that. They're going to go in via this browser, they're going to build, partition it off, and then send it to their home 3D printer and build a replica of their installation or whatever, opening up a lot of the potential there, I think. Anyway, let's move back to things coming up this week and whatever. I'm sure you've got something on the agenda, Saffia, if only Designing Worlds tomorrow.
And I bet you Saffia's got her mic turned off.
I have, yes. And I'm back. I was going to say, I think what we've got this week is really going to, you're going to really enjoy this one. We are off to Cloud Party.
Indeed.
Fun.
Designing Worlds comes from Cloud Party. We went and explored it. So I think it's going to be an interesting show. It was not without hazards making it. I think my favourite bit was when we were filming something and we were on an island, and in the middle of the filming there was a server restart, a server upgrade, in fact. And when we came back a couple of minutes later, half the content of the island had been evaporated because the server upgrade meant it no longer worked. And it was like, yes, but we were just talking about this. You can't take it away. It was good. But eventually we got to it. What we have done is it's going to be the kind of show we do when we first visit a virtual world, in that we stay firmly in the Designing World studio and then have extracts from Cloud Party. But we did go over there, we did explore it, but it's actually very difficult to film in unless you're very conversant with how the system works over there, because it's quite different from Second Life. But I now have an avatar over in Cloud Party, and I even have a house.
Oh, wonderful. So it went silent there. Yeah, I'm sorry, folks. We're just trying to get Slim Warrior in here, and we got her on Skype, but we haven't got her in World yet. So, yeah, I did almost have a clip today for Cloud Party, but it didn't encode when I sent it up to the channel, so we couldn't show it. But it was, I think it was, what is this rage that's going on? We were talking about earlier, the Harlem Shuffle or something?
Harlem Shake.
Harlem Shake. Okay, well, it was a Cloud Party version of a Harlem Shake. But anyway, I couldn't encode it at the channel, so we haven't got that this week. But no, Cloud Party, I haven't been there much. I went a couple of times when it first began. I went via the Facebook plugin, and it didn't load very well for a few times. I think it got going, reasonably well one time, but we have had a lot of clips in from it, particularly Patrick Moyo in France. They've been they're the people behind that big, collaborate with that big festival in Nice that we were looking at last week. But they had a very big installation in Cloud Party, which actually looked, is very hard to tell it apart from their OpenSim installation, or indeed their Second Life ones. So it's quite impressive to look at.
I thought Cloud Party was, and we go and look at the work of a well-known Second Life artist, Claudia 222 Jewel, who's got an island over there. And the quality of the work she's producing is really, really excellent. But there are downsides to it as well. It's very much in beta, I think. And it raises serious questions about what you use the virtual world for, because they seem to be aiming it more at people creating games, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I mean, I think one of the ways that Second Life scores is because of the diversity of experiences people can have here, and I think with virtual worlds where that diversity of experiences for one or other reason limited, it's much harder for the virtual world to get traction. Yeah,
I think this is something you could equally say. I mean, with Unity 3D, for example, which is an excellent technology for putting virtual things on web pages and what have you. But it, you don't have the sense that you can just teleport to another installation or another location, and that by default means you don't really feel part of any kind of community other than the individual community that's logged on to that particular instance on the web at that time. So, it's more like a virtual meeting place or a virtual show-off place than it is a community. And
I think, Elric and I have talked about this at some length. We don't talk about it at some length on the show. But yes, the idea of community is crucial to a virtual world, and not just one community. I mean, I think one of the reasons perhaps that Inworld is getting traction and is taking off is because already it contains a number of sub-communities. There's Victoriana moved over there, so you've got the whole kind of Victorian steampunk group over there. You've got elves, you've got tinies. All of these things are strong communities that will grow, and they will bring in other people as well. So I think that makes a huge difference to a new environment.
Have you tried out Cloud Party at all, Dousa, or any of these web embedded ones?
Oh. She's turned her mic off too.
Dousa has herself muted.
Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes, indeed.
Yep. I'm sorry. When it first started, Rob and I went in and filmed. I think we broadcast it. It was jolly good fun, actually. It was rather like going into a packet of chocolate or some pretty dolly mixtures, which they have like children's sweets in
what a great analogy.
England. Yeah, they were. It was really pretty in the sense that everybody was sort of building castles upside down, and everybody had turned to artworks really at that point, and were floating around in planets in bubbles. So we really enjoyed it, and it did seem that it had traction in the sense that it was offering a lot of things that SL was offering, but there seemed to be more joy to it in some way. Because it was it was a hugely new venture. I haven't been in for a few months, so I don't know what it's like now.
It's one of those sort of odd things. I know from the blogs, for example, that it got massive traction when it started, and everybody was saying, a virtual world plugging into Facebook. That's the idea, folks. And indeed, there were lots of people going there, and a lot of blogs coming out of it. And I have the impression, I suppose, now that it's probably reached some kind of plateau, because there's less of that sort of initial enthusiasm for it, though it is still quite obviously. Keeping on. And there's quite a few, people who've been involved with virtual world projects who have taken up residence there and are blogging, their events there quite often. So, I think we shall be watching out for that, and watching it, of course, tomorrow. Yeah. Now, again, anything else coming up this week? Have we got anything else on the radar in terms of events?
I'm going to be starting work on a documentary about the making of Fantasy Fair, which is going to go out on the Designing World strand, but it's going to be slightly different from our usual shows. It's not going to be me and Elric going in and filming as we usually do. What is going to be the case is that we're building up a film record of how Fantasy Fair is put together over a number of weeks, indeed months. And we're going to sort of give a flavour of how it's organised, how the builders come on board and build things, what it means for store holders to become involved, how the hunt is put together. And it's going to be a sort of documentary rather than the usual more magazine-y type program. I'm really looking forward to doing it. I'm getting a new computer and I'm getting set up with editing software, so I'm really looking forward to doing this.
Great, that sounds great.
Sounds like fun. Good project.
New computers are always so much fun.
I know.
Yeah. It's the excuse, isn't it? You get the new computer and then, I've got to start doing this now, and I've got to start doing that.
Well, Pet and I have talked about this, and the idea is series 2 of the Black and Mirror, she's really going to have her revenge, because I'm going to be doing some of the editing on it, I think.
Well, of course, this is the ramp up this week for St. Patrick's Day, which is a week from today. So now's the week to go drop in on virtual Dublin, and at least raise a virtual brew or two, and to get out your green garb and apparently Bevan Whitfield has her 6th Res Day this week.
Oh.
Oh, congratulations, Bevan.
Congratulations, Bevan.
Well done, Bevan. I'm really interested the difference between our real life avatars and our Second Life avatars, and that we're proud to say our age. So far, when we get to be about 20, we're really going to be worried about it, I think.
Exactly. We're going to have Linda's going to turn all our surnames to oldie or something.
Speaking of surnames, if I may interject, I did get a correction on that videographer you had questioned earlier about. Her name is Emmanuel Courtois.
She calls herself.
Yes, indeed, we know her. Yes, indeed.
Yes. And I just wanted to make sure she got credit because apparently it's quite a a project that she accomplished, and she worked with the American Cancer Society's Cancer Survivors Network here in Second Life to put that together.
It's
right. Excellent.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
Video.
really is excellent. Yeah, great. Well done, Michelle. Well, we were talking about age again, weren't we? It always comes up. I had my 6th Res Day a few weeks ago, and of course I missed it. And oddly enough, I always miss it. But for the first time ever, it came up on my iPad diary the day before, and it said Mal Burns' birthday tomorrow. And I said, hang on, Apple, what's going on here? Because it wasn't anything near my real birthday. And of course, on further investigation, I realized it meant Res Day. And I promptly forgot about it the next day. So, yeah, but they are great fun. I've yet to have a Res Day party, I guess, but happy Res Day to Bevan there, I think. Right. Interestingly, also on age, there was a link in the week, 4 days ago, in fact, to an article on research. Don't you love researchers? Apparently, seniors who play games say they have a better sense of well-being. There you go. Now, we all know Second Life is not a game, but I think we can probably extend the concept to communities too. So, apparently, the older you are, the better sense of well-being you have if you're in a virtual environment. So, no comment on that, I take it. Right, I did have.
Luckily, I was muted.
Oh.
I was sitting here saying, what can I say?
I've never heard such rubbish. Who have they been talking to?
I mean, I'll try and get the link open if we must.
If I were old, maybe I could have a comment about it, but I'm only 9, 8.5.
That's true. I'm even younger. But I have, unfortunately, taken part in Grumpy Old Avatars. I suppose that's a bit of a giveaway.
I thought we were going to have a reunion here. I thought Slimmy was going to join us, but
she's been trying.
She's still she didn't join this Skype call. She's not in World, so I'm not quite sure where she is. Yes, indeed, we've got to bring that one back soon. I'm just opening the link to tell you where that research is. Oh, it was a gamepolitics.com, and it was a post on the 5th of March. And the source was a magazine called Medical Express, would you believe?
Did they talk to any of us?
It doesn't seem to matter. I'm loading it now. I don't think so. They probably sat there trying some sort of data analysis software and sort of.
I think there is an argument to be said that actually, if you are very isolated, if you're in an isolated situation, there is obviously an argument to be had for this interrupting that isolation. Interrupting that isolation.
The other thing, Dousa, is there's been numerous studies that point to online games and that sort of thing as being beneficial for keeping brains active.
Yeah.
And so an active brain that isn't deteriorating quite as fast is probably going to be a more satisfied person behind it. So it's if you continue to use it, then you don't lose it. Is kind of the I think the basic takeaway from that. And the advantage of online games is that you can I'm thinking of my sister actually, who is some years older than I am and has spends a certain amount of time playing various online games, and it's definitely a positive thing in her life. It's not the only thing she does by a long shot, but she has made some friends doing that who are in odd corners of the world. And
I'm curious if there's someone's drawn a correlation between mental well-being and physical well-being, because let's face it, we sit here in front of a computer all day. We're not attending to the physical needs while our brains are being challenged and becoming more active. It definitely gives you that better sense of self and hopefully, assuming that you don't get yourself in a situation here in Second Life that we all too often see where your emotions get involved or get hurt. But what does it do from the other side? I wonder if someone's going to come out and say, well, it's great for the mind, but what about the body?
To be honest, you do hear, especially with gamers who get very involved in what they're doing, of instances of obesity and, not people not looking after their physical health. And in some ways, I'm not saying I'm like that, but, I can see that. If you are engaged online, be it in a lot of time, you're sitting down or whatever, it's very easy to neglect the exercise. Fortunately, most of us have to go out shopping and things like that, so it doesn't get totally neglected. But I'm actually, this research I've just looked into here, it's interesting. They asked there were 140 people aged 63 and over, and they were asked how often they played video games, if at all. And they took a battery of tests to assess their emotional and social well-being. 61% played video games occasionally, with 35% participants saying they played at least once a week. And it found that they reported higher levels of well-being, basically, whereas those who didn't play video games at all reported more negative emotions and a tendency towards higher levels of depression. What I find rather interesting there is that of that age group, a random study found that 61% of people, of the 140 people, do actually play video games occasionally. And even 35% is playing once a week. It's a pretty high percentage for that age group, in my opinion. So
that doesn't surprise me. That doesn't surprise me at all. The computers, there's been a long enough run on the ubiquity of computers to, they're certainly those who are 60 plus are baby boomers, and we grew up with computers too, and it was mainframes growing up, but hey, the adoption is certainly there. The thing that I wonder about with that study is, are we talking about cause effect, or are we talking about correlation? Because and this is one of the classic mistakes where statistics get played fast and loose with how the media presents it. You can have things that are associated, in other words, better mood and playing video games, but that doesn't mean that playing video games is what causes the better mood. The better mood may result in playing video games. So the two exist simultaneously, but that does not mean that they're necessarily causally related with each other. So that's probably something to keep in mind. I would want to look further at the whole research study, because unless they took a group of people, split them in half, who had never played video games, did the various assessments they did, and then took half of that group, had them play video games for a period of weeks, and then repeated the tests, then you could start to talk about some causation. But if they're just the study as you described it, it's correlation, it's not causation that they're talking about.
Okay, well, the actual paper was called Computers in Human Behavior, and it was published online in Computers in Human Behavior, and the author is Dr. Jason Allaire, Associate Professor of Psychology at NC State. Is that North Carolina? Or NC State?
Probably North Carolina.
Okay.
North Carolina.
Well, that's all the details I can give you, folks. But if you're interested, do look that up.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm beginning to think we probably ought to sort of start rounding things up for the Inworld bit this week. So I think we'll sort of go around the table, see if anybody's got anything else they want to bring up or say. Trader, yeah.
I just want to say thank you to everyone for allowing Noella and myself to be on. I know she had a run, but she did want to thank you, Mel and Saffia and for allowing us to be here. And Relay for Life, it started yesterday. It's going to continue. The Relay for Life itself is July 13th and 14th. Just if you can do something to help out, every lending helps. It's going to make a difference. It's going to help you. It's going to help your friends, your loved ones, and we're going to create a world that someday we can talk about cancer in the past tense. So, and again, thank you to your support of Relay for Life and helping us to get that message out. It really is critical, and it is greatly appreciated.
Great. Well, our pleasure, and thanks for being here. Saffia.
Watch Designing Worlds on Cloud Party. That's really all I'm going to say. I'm going to be, if you want to get hold of me this week, prepare for me being slightly absorbed in going, ooh, shiny, over my new computer.
Oh! In other words, you're going to spend more time admiring it than doing anything. Yeah, I know that. I know that feeling. You know, when it's it hasn't got a fingerprint on it, and it looks sort of swanky, and it's a new model with lots of flashing lights.
And you see me standing in Second Life, looking around, and you come up to me, and I'm just going, the shadows, the shadows.
Okay, well, we look forward to that, and seeing whatever you come up with in the video editing front too. I hasten to add.
I think it's looking forward to that.
So, Dousa, anything exciting happening to you this week, or anything else to mention?
Well, there's lots of exciting things, but none of which I can talk about, so I'm not going to. I'm just going to say, if you want to drop in at the Metaverse Crash site, please feel free. It's on Metaverse Island. And just that, really. We're looking forward to we are for the possibly, I think I can say this, going to actually do a Relay for Life team. I mean, we're normally broadcasting it, but I think I'm going to set up a team because I've done something with some colleagues in RL, and I think I want to import that. I think it would be valuable. So we're possibly doing that, but I'm arranging the last sort of section of that this week, so that'll be interesting.
That'd be good news. Yes, indeed. Okay, well, thanks for coming. You should join us more often. You're great fun to have around. You always are. So.
Why? I don't intend to be.
Yeah, I know. You always say, "Oh, I'm going to spoil it for you." You never do.
Just be curmudgeonly.
Okay, Tara. Anything else before we?
Well, I can't think of anything else for me. I hope if you're anywhere where the sun might be visible, that you manage to get out in it. Spring is on the way for those of you who are still digging out of snow piles. And everybody have a great week. And by the way, I'm delighted to have all of you here today. It's been a very, very good discussion. Excellent show. Thanks.
Great. Well, with that, I think we can call it a wrap. It is, of course, thank you to everybody who was here. My apologies to Slimmy, by the way, because we don't seem to have been able to get her on Skype, and since she wasn't in World either, I'm not quite sure how we were meant to get her into the conversation, but I'm sure she'll join us another week. We love seeing Slimmy. And same with Joel Foner, who I think was trying to get in but couldn't do the Inworld bit, so again... But we have had a wonderful show, a rather packed show as well, and somewhat of a new look in the studio here. For those of you watching live, I would remind you that the Inworld Review is part of the Metaverse Week in Review, which has been going in various forms for 6 years odd. And the live show continues on our channel live. If you're watching there, we'll be following up with some artistic arts sort of clips, a little bit of music, and at the very end of the show I'm going to actually show a film, which I'm quite impressed with. It's 45 minutes long, and it's an in-world performance of Shakespeare's Twelfth Night, but that will not be for about an hour or so yet. So do stay tuned. We've got some wonderful stuff on the live channel for you. If you're watching in replay, of course, if you're watching a live stream, you'll see the rest of the show. If you're watching the YouTube embed, it's a wrap from this part of the show. So I hope to see you all again next week. I don't know who the guests will be, but we have plenty of people lined up. So it will be as exciting as ever, I hope. So thank you from me, Tara, Saffia, also Trader, Dousa, and those newly departed. Who were they? I've got Frolic and... God. So Trader... Nuala, that's it. Okay, I'm a good host, aren't I? I can't even get the credits right. And thanks, as always, to the wonderful Petlove Petshop, who is doing the filming for this show in the background here. So with that, I'm about to switch myself back over to the live stream channel and cue some clips. And actually the first clip coming up is also rather great. It's not a new clip, but I found it during the week, and it's a virtual interpretation of the Scream painting. I think you'll like it. Anyway, that's it for now. So I'm heading over to the channel, and it's a wrap.